Our next honoree currently resides in Youngstown and is an educator and activist who has fought for voter rights, fair housing, and civil rights her entire life. Her passion for rights came to the forefront while attending Brown University. After graduating, Penelope Penny Wells became a teacher and worked in several schools with many programs. Ms. Wells initiated a student recycling program at Boley Rogers Junior High School. She's currently the executive director of Mahoney Valley Sojourn to the Past. Sojourn to the Past is a California-based nonprofit organization that has been honored and recognized by the U.S. Congress as the longest-running social justice, education, and outreach nonviolent program. As executive director of Mahoney Valley Sojourn to the Past, she's taken high school students on the Sojourn to the Past journey to the civil rights sites in the South for 15 years now. Ms. Wells has worked with the Sojourn students in their numerous projects, including the passage of law, Ohio Nonviolence Week, organizing a Nonviolence Week, voter registration, speaking, and rallies, among other events. She has been recognized multiple times as an outstanding educator and elected to the Mahoney Valley League of Women Voters Hall of Fame in 2016, in addition to receiving special recognition twice from the House of Representatives, the Ohio General Assembly for Youth for Justice. Please welcome today Hall of Fame recipient Penelope Penny Wells.
Thank you to the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for giving me this honor. I would also like to thank Madonna Chisholm for nominating me, and a special thank you to Minnie Jean Brown Trickey, who's one of the Little Rock Nine, and to Bonnie Bergman from the Jewish Area Federation in Youngstown, Ohio, and to Gail Cantanella, who's rector of the St. John's Episcopal Church in Youngstown. However, I'm truly accepting this award for all the amazing young people who live in Mahoney Valley, who after participating in the Sojourn to the Past journey, changed their schools and their community. I'm also thankful for my wonderful family who's here, many of whom came from great distances to celebrate with me, and I love you all. My journey for social justice began when I was a student in college at Brown University, but I have a granddaughter who's here today. She's a first-year student in college and who began her work for social justice while she was in high school after she went on the Sojourn journey. She is way ahead of me where I was in the journey for social justice. I also have a grandson who's here, who at age 12 participated in a remembrance service for William Taylor and put dirt in a jar at the site of his 1878 lynching in Sandusky. That jar is now in the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama. And for your information, I have another jar that's sitting in my basement that one day I hope will be housed in this building. For those of you who don't know, there have been 15 lynchings in this state. And in Montgomery, at the memorial on a hill, they have cylinders, metal cylinders with names. Across the South, they're by county, but there's one for Ohio that lists the 15 lynchings. I've had two role models in my life. My mom, who met people where they were without judgment, and she was loved by many. My other role model was John Lewis. I remember the first time I met him at the historic fire station in Atlanta on my first Sojourn journey. He was steeped in the principles of nonviolence, never judging the person, but the action. Never focusing on the limelight. In fact, in pictures, he would always be either at the end or in the second row. He was never lost hope, never was a silent witness, always standing up for what he believed was right. He came to East High School in Youngstown, Ohio to speak to high school students at the request of Sojourn members. It is the only time I can remember being in an auditorium where you could hear a pin drop. So you can see I set the bar high for myself. In his book, Walking with the Wind, John Lewis writes that while he was in college studying to be a preacher, he began to believe in what was called the spirit of history. Others might call it fate or destiny or a guiding hand. I came to believe this force is on the side of what is good, he wrote. This spirit finds you, it selects you, it chases you down, and you have no choice. You must allow yourself to be used, to be guided by this force, and to carry out what must be done. This opening of the self has nothing to do with ego or self-gratification. It's a process of giving one over one's very being to whatever role history chooses for you. John Lewis changed gears. He became active in SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the Civil Rights Movement. And I personally believe it was the spirit of history, and I call that spirit God, that grabbed hold of me. I've never felt so certain that what I've been doing for the past 17 years is what God has called me to do. He did not say it would be easy. He didn't say I would not work hard. He didn't say I could stay in my comfort zone. But I believe that when God calls you, He makes a way. He is there to guide you, and He puts people in your life to help you along the way. And I've been blessed beyond measure. Every student who's come into my life as part of Sojourn has enriched my soul and been a blessing. Ecclesiastes 11:1 says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, and you will receive blessings." I heard my mom say frequently, she cast her bread upon the waters, and it was returned with butter and honey. And I feel that's also true for me. It was my son's birthday, and I was meeting my future daughter-in-law for the first time. My son received Barack Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope, for a present. I was reading the prologue, and on the second page, Obama wrote that many people he spoke with were skeptical about politics. But he continued, there was and always has been another tradition to politics, a tradition that stretched from the days of the country's founding to the glory of the Civil Rights Movement, that what binds us together is greater than what drives us apart. And that if we believe that, and we act on that, then we might not solve every problem, but we can get something meaningful done. In other words, working towards that beloved community. I was sold right then. Obama was my candidate. The Civil Rights Movement is important, but the changes that occurred during that time were the people who were willing to put their lives on the line to make a difference for all of us. It's also become the model for other movements, such as women's rights, indigenous people, Latinx, the LGBT community, seniors, and people with handicaps. John Lewis said, democracy is not a state. It is an act, and each generation must do its part to build what we call the beloved community, a nation and a world society at peace with itself. On Friday, September the 15th in Birmingham, Alabama, just a few weeks ago, I sat in the 16th Street Baptist Church, participating in the 60th anniversary of the bombing of the church by the Klan. At the end of the program, we held hands and sang together, "We shall overcome." All I could think about was the children a few months before that bombing who sat in that same church, sang freedom songs, and walked out of that church to face fire hoses, vicious dogs, and arrests. And as I sang, I was overcome with emotion. My soul and my feet were ready to get moving and march. Every Mahoning Valley Search into the Past event ends with a call to action, and I would be remiss if I didn't do that today. So my challenge to all of us who are here is, we're never too old, we're never too young, never too busy, and should never be too uncomfortable to take action for social justice. If you live in Ohio, I challenge you to plan an activity in your community for Ohio Nonviolence Week, which begins the first Sunday in October of every year. We can all encourage teachers to teach the truth, to teach true and full American history. And we need to support those teachers. We need to vote and encourage others to vote. Write your elected officials when you support their actions, and write your elected officials when you don't support their actions. And if you don't like what they're doing, vote them out. Don't be a silent witness. Stand up and speak up when you see a wrong. And remember, courage is the root of change. Thank you.